This episode of the Nerf Herder Council is brought to you by Audible. Visit audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download.
I'm Kevin Thompson. I'm Chubray from Return of the Jedi. You're listening to the Nerf Herder Council.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking Nerf herder!
You can't use that word! Only we can use that word!
You're tuned in to the Nerf Herder Council, your source for Star Wars opinion, conversation, and debate. Featuring your hosts, JT.
Stormtrooper armor deflects everything except Orback hooves. They're like a horse version of Thomas the Tank Engine.
AJ.
Yeah, Rebels is a lot like our show, where we think we have a good idea and then it just fails in execution.
Steve.
The vacuum of space does crazy things to your beehole out there, man.
On this episode of the Nerf Herder Council, we ramble about a bunch of random Star Wars crap and eventually land on the topic, does Episode 9 change the overall view of the sequel trilogy?
This is the Nerf Herder Council.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. With me are AJ and Steve. We are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. And you can get your own customized Nerf Herder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. So we are back here, and obviously episode 9 is still a hot topic. The Mandalorian. We finally have all of the episodes, so we are now able to binge that. I'm waiting to do that one of these weekends. I'm off. Can't wait for that. The Clone Wars trailer came out today, and I actually forgot to watch that, which kind of sucks. But something interesting that happened to me this week. It didn't physically happen to me, but AJ, a friend of ours, Nick Ammons, who has been on the show before, he went to Galaxy's Edge many times. And he absolutely loved it. And he's pretty much like a super nerd like we are to a point. And he said he has no idea why people wouldn't like it. He rode the Falcon several times. He rode Rise of the Resistance a bunch. He said Rise of the Resistance is like the best time he's ever had inside an amusement park ever, like by far.
Yeah, I've seen people like it because it just opened over the weekend or something in Disneyland.
Yeah.
And I've seen people in tears on Disney Twitter and stuff like that over this thing. Like, this is an amazing ride, apparently.
Yeah. And I confirmed, because I had read this, I'm like, how are they going to pull that off? They actually do shoot lasers. They figured out how to have like laser blasts flying around you.
Oh, so, that's incredible.
Yeah. So he loved it, and he spent an inordinate amount of money, obviously, but he budgeted for it. So he got the Luke replica lightsaber. He built his own lightsaber, and he was at Doc Ondar's, and he went to the bar and everything, and he said that it was amazing, and he has no idea why a huge Star Wars fan would complain.
So in the Saber workshop, he built 2 lightsabers then?
I think the Luke replica he just bought that way.
Yeah, all the Legends ones, I think you just buy that way. They're like, and then the custom ones you actually get to build in the shop.
And how do those stack up compared to, say, like the Force FX sabers?
I don't know,
because the ones in the theme park are more, right? They're like $200.
They're $200, like yeah.
Apparently, they're really good quality.
Yeah,
at least the Legends ones. I don't know about the custom made ones. When they're throwing parts around like crazy while you're building the things. I don't know, but apparently the Legends ones are really good quality, though.
I guess the one wonky thing about the Legends ones, he said, in order to get the blade onto the hilt. You have to put a special part in there So you have to kind of diddle with it a little bit if you want to display it with a blade on.
Well, that's a bunch of crap. I never saw that in the movie.
That's why people hate Galaxy's Edge.
Honestly, I wouldn't want to anyways. They come in like a real
you
nice
imagine every
case
time?
and stuff.
Right.
I would kind of just leave it as is, to tell you the truth.
I got to tell you, man, the Force Effects ones, they're awesome. I wish they would stay on. Like they time out after like 20 minutes or something. If you leave them on, don't do nothing with it. And in my man cave, I've got it hanging next to my television. And it is so cool watching Star Wars or playing Star Wars with a green lightsaber glowing, but then it turns off. I'm like, if these things stayed on, I'd probably buy 4 more of them and just light them all at once and sit there and just have like the only glow in the room is Luke Skywalker lightsabers.
I feel like anyone even semi-crafty could fix that problem for us.
Yeah. I mean, they have wall mounted like mini lightsaber lights. I found them on Amazon. They're out of stock right now, but they're, I don't know, like 18 inches long or something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
But they're remote control, and you can change, and it's any number of different colors. So I could get 5 of those. They're like $30 a piece. It'd be like $150, the same price as one.
Does it light up orange? Can you get the Ray Saber in there?
I think so. It's got a whole bunch of weird colors. So
Speaking of the Galaxy's Edge stuff and all that, little life hack for you. If you get I want to say it's an RFID reader on your phone. Those are the chips they use in the kyber crystals for the stuff you can buy at Galaxy's Edge.
Right.
So you can literally just use the reader on your phone and make your lightsaber whatever color you feel like making it on any given day.
where do you find this crap? You always have
Disney
this like
Twitter, man.
You are like a criminal. Like, hey, check out my illegal Rise of Skywalker. Hey, now I found this hack for the Kyber. You're always the guy that figures
the
stuff
the
out.
illegal thing is the people that are using the lights on their phones at Galaxy's Edge to try to find the black kyber crystals.
Oh yeah,
What you can? I'm assuming this is to make a dark saber.
No,
okay.
I think it still
your
comes
crystal-
out.
saber.
I think it still comes out red if you put it in a saber, but like I think there's one of those black crystals per case or something.
It's like per day or per hour or something that you like. You pick your own color, right? Don't you?
Yeah, like they have all the little vials with the crystals in them and stuff, and you can't see inside of them. So
Yeah. So you just say I want a red one. You grab what says it's red, and there's like one a day or maybe one every couple hours or something that there's actually a black crystal in there.
it's always in a red one. Yeah, but
it's always in a red one.
If you go on eBay, like these things run you about $300 if you really want one right now.
So what's the trick with the light on your phone to find it?
You were supposed to be. I don't think you could do it because I think they changed the casing of it.
Yeah.
But you used to be able to put your phone underneath it with the light, and you would see the red of the crystal. But if it was just a shadow inside there, you knew you had the
get
black, one.
Yeah, people were hacking it.
Yeah, of course. It's like Lego and their blind bag minifigures where there used to be, they called them bump codes, where there was like a little impression, there was an embossing on the bottom seal of the bag that would be like almost like a Morse code or like a Braille sort of thing to indicate what was inside. And as soon as people caught on to that and started publishing the bump codes online, they instantly stopped doing it because it's supposed to be blind bag. So
Yeah, and then they started doing the secondary boxes with the Lego kits, and now like I was doing that Stranger Things one, and like you'll have 2 pieces of a minifigure in like bag 9, and then you'll have the other 2 pieces of the minifigure in bag 11
are you
inside
kidding
of the
me?
box.
They split them across boxes and bags now?
It's all over the freaking
geez.
place now. And remember, like the minifigures used to all be in like bag 1 or something.
Yeah.
Now there's like a minifigure in bag 1 and 1 in 3 and 1 in 5 and 1 in 9 and 1 in 11. Like it's just spread out everywhere. So you have to open every single bag of your Lego kit to get the minifigures out to try to stop the people from doing what I was almost like. I used to do that.
He's doing shady shit.
No. The opposite. The opposite. I would go and I would buy like the
Iron
the
Chick
Star.
opposite.
I would buy like the like the Kylo Ren one off of eBay for like $30 because somebody took the minifigures out of it and didn't want to build the kit. And I'm like, well, I can give a damn about the minifigures. I want to build the kit. So
Yeah.
like we have this nice little thing going. You want minifigures? I want the Lego kit. So I'll pay half price for it.
right, cottage industry.
I tell you what, if I saw somebody, if I saw somebody trying to like do the scam to get the black crystal, I would just sit there like, man, these are cool little cases, and pretend like I'm rooting through it. As soon as he found it, just rip it out of his hand and run to the cash register. Like the guy's throwing a fit, be like, hey, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna be a jerk and try and steal from people and be cheap, then instead of doing it cool at random like the rest of us, then you get what you get.
All right, you're a gray Jedi at best then.
Oh, I've always said I'd be a great Jedi. Are you kidding me? I'd be terrible.
Yeah, I going back to all that Disney stuff. Like I saw somebody actually like I didn't watch the whole ride, but somebody probably put like 10 seconds of them riding Rise of the Resistance on Twitter, and it was going into that room with the
walkers,
scale size walkers, and it's just like, oh my God. And it looks so cool through a phone screen. I can just imagine coming out of that hallway on the ride and seeing that, like, oh God.
I know. Yeah, I watched some videos that had like partial ride throughs, but there's a few out there that have the full ride. And I want to see it so bad, but I'm like, you know what? I can't. I have to see that in person.
Right.
Like, I have to.
The most I saw is I think Nerdist put like 2 minutes worth of the ride up on their Twitter, and I watched that, and I was like, I don't want to watch the whole thing. I really want to wait and see. I don't care if it's 4 years from now. Like
I'm the same way.
I'm waiting till I can see the whole thing myself.
I mean, I have to admit, I watched the full Falcon ride, like the fly through. I just couldn't help it. I just couldn't help it. Like the day that thing, all the videos went up, like for the world premiere, whatever the heck you would call it. But, I mean, I was watching this and people are like walking through the line, so it's like first person, and it just brought tears to my eyes. I'm like, and I know when I get on that ride I'm just gonna cry. I mean, I don't
even know if it's getting on the ride. I think as soon as you walk through that tunnel and you come around that corner and see the Falcon there, like I think that's going to be it for you.
Oh yeah, I mean it's what I've always wanted. That's why, having not been there, I've never understood people.
Your wife is going to be like, "Can we get on the ride?" You're just going to be standing there staring like my autistic son, just staring at the damn Falcon for 30 minutes.
It's going to be like health class. I won't be able to go anywhere because I'm waiting for my boner to go down.
Right.
Yeah, it's like,
can't walk, boner.
Oh, how am I supposed to run with this?
Wait a minute. Why were you getting boners in health class?
It's a dude. Everyone has that. It's like I'm trying to think of what everybody says, oh, you get boners in health class because you're going through puberty, you get boners for no reason. They call you up to what if you get called up to the chalkboard, then you got a boner, it's embarrassing in front of class. It's like an old story from sitcoms or whatever.
Steve?
Or books.
Is this ringing any bells for you?
You know what I'm talking about. Like, that's been a joke for years about kids.
I don't think so.
Oh, shut up. People know what I'm talking about. I'm not getting into this.
Anyways, Falcon boners.
Yes.
Now I know why you had no friends in middle school.
No, I have plenty of friends. Shut up. So
I still have no friends.
You have us, man. We love you.
Like I said.
That was actually very
ouch. Zing.
I thought that was a nice little moment, but nope.
He crapped on that one.
Yep.
But
That's
yeah,
what I do. This is why we can't have nice things.
I haven't been there yet, obviously, and I was all the articles coming out, people bashing it when it opened and stuff. And I'm like, how can that be? Like, it's a whole world of Star Wars. Like, you're flying the Millennium Falcon. Like, even just being in an actual size Millennium Falcon and that, all the cool things you can do. And I got confirmation from somebody who's almost as nerdy as I am that, it kicks that much ass. So I'm excited for that.
And not everybody's idiots too. Like a lot of people crap on it, but at the same point, I said they opened all that stuff over the weekend at Disneyland. I found this really nice picture online of a bunch of people that made lightsabers, and the cast member that was in that area is Rey. Like they were all just holding the lightsabers over her head, so it lit up everything.
Oh, that's cool.
And like the actual look of like joy on the cast member's face that this was going on. I'm just like, see, I'm like, not every fan of Star Wars is an asshole. Like, it really feels that way sometimes, especially on social media. But then you see that and you go,
yeah,
there's kind of hope for us, you know?
See, that's what we've noticed is we're only assholes online.
Yep.
We're not assholes at Celebration. We're not assholes in the theme parks. We're not assholes at the movie theater even.
I think I brought that up in like a text thread with you guys at one point. That I'm just like, everybody kind of puts aside their bullshit at Celebration, and everybody's kind of, for lack of a better word, fake for 4 days. And then the moment everybody gets on an airplane from leaving Celebration, you just turn into douche canoes again about Star Wars.
Dude, it really happens because we'll be on like social media immediately following,
Like you're probably
Celebration
walking behind somebody at Celebration that you just had like a great moment with and stuff, but he doesn't know your Twitter handle or something. And then he's replying to you, calling you a piece of shit on Twitter,
dude, it's true.
while smiling, walking next to you about how cool the thing was you guys just went and did.
Well, I mean, that's the whole problem is that people on social media, they say things they wouldn't be caught dead saying to people's faces. It's like,
Right.
we talk in the immediate few days after Celebration, it's just lit up with, oh my God, it's the best. Star Wars fans are the best, and Celebration was amazing, and why can't we act like this to each other all year round? And then a week later, it's back to the same, desolate graveyard of things.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it really is. And it's like, it's funny to me because I always wonder, that so many people that are walking around are just complete a-holes online. And if you bring up something like, for example, at this last Celebration, like if you were to say, oh, I love The Last Jedi. So we got in some conversations with people like, yeah, I didn't really like it. You just discuss it. Everything's cool. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I know that these are probably some of the same people online that are just absolutely tearing people a new asshole for liking that
Is
movie.
there
the
like
balls to say it to somebody's face?
Is there like actually debating you about it? They know in the back of their head 20 minutes from now they're going to go on Twitter like, oh God, this fucking queer that I just saw over here at Celebration said he loved The Last Jedi. Da, da, da.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I told you guys, I actually muted another podcast today, and I'm going to start on our page muting people that I constantly see negative tweets from, because it's like, I don't want it to be negative. And I've seen some really cool stuff. Someone, the other day there was a big long thread, and it was, hey, I'm tired of seeing the negativity, so post a good thing about The Rise of Skywalker. And so everyone was just like, oh, even people that didn't like it were like, oh, well, I like the score. I like this. So it was cool. And people that, put in something purposely crappy got
at least it's not Last Jedi.
yeah. They got eviscerated for it, or they just got whatever it is. But it was nothing but positivity. I'm like, that was very cool. So it was nice, and it, like my buddy at Galaxy's Edge, it was awesome to hear this immensely positive story about that, because you had read some pretty negative things, and especially knowing this person, that brings it home even more. Okay.
Yeah, it holds a lot more merit that somebody said it as opposed to random Twitter douche.
Yeah. It's amazing how many times you see reviews, and it's not just Star Wars, but this is pretty prevalent. Like you see these movie reviews. I saw a lot of these for The Rise of Skywalker that are written, like the review of the movie is written by these writers that flat out admit, well, I don't really like Star Wars. Well, then how can I take your review seriously?
Yeah.
That'd be like me going to review a Pearl Jam concert. I hate Pearl Jam. What am I going to do? Oh, they were great. I'm like, no, Pearl Jam sucks. In my opinion, I don't like their music. So why are you sending me?
When the first sentence of your blog or whatever says, I don't really like Star Wars, but how does everything that comes after that hold any merit?
Yeah, like you're instantly coming in it with a bias. That's weird to me.
Well, you might be able to turn the phrase, though. It might actually be a positive review. They might start off by saying, I don't really like Star Wars, but this movie, could be.
I saw a couple of those. Unfortunately, it was more in the negative, but I've just never understood that. You would think that these entertainment sources would send people that are either completely indifferent or fans, not somebody who's like, here's your new assignment. Oh, but I hate that. You're doing it anyway. Well, how are you going to get something that's worth reading?
Well, I think indifferent is the way they're supposed to be, right? Isn't journalism supposed to be impartial?
Yeah,
supposed to be.
Because otherwise, you're going to get an artificially positive review from someone who's a fanboy. So,
what are you saying? I can't review a Star Wars movie?
Pretty much, yeah.
Hey, I've been honest about The Force Awakens, so it's
there's something that I actually kind of wanted to lean into a little bit.
Okay,
if we can shift onto something about Rise of Skywalker without digging too far into the re-review. I was thinking about this week. So, The Force Awakens was written by JJ, with characters and whatnot created by JJ.
Okay.
Last Jedi comes out. It's Rian Johnson. Totally swerves Force Awakens. And then Rise of Skywalker comes out, written by JJ. Characters by JJ. So, in that context, as much as we love The Last Jedi, if any of the movies in this trilogy did a disservice to the trilogy, don't you think it would be The Last Jedi?
I don't know.
Pretty much, just
'cause
going
it
off of what
feels
you
like-
said, yes, because
But then it's just a numbers game.
Well,
Because one guy did 2 movies, the other guy did 1.
and that
Well,
goes
the
back
guy-
to that's like like you said, not getting into a re-review. That's why I said like we would have been better off having Ryan do all 3 or JJ do all 3.
Yeah.
then
Yeah, I could see that.
at least it would have been a linear movement instead of starting at one point basically making a triangle without the third side.
Yeah.
because my feelings on Rise of Skywalker are that the characters feel a lot more like they were in Force Awakens than they did in Last Jedi. And that makes sense because it's the same guy writing those 2 movies. So it feels that might be where a lot of the discord comes from with going from 8 to 9, because anyone who loved Force Awakens, that was the backlash of Last Jedi, was, it doesn't feel at all like the last movie. These characters are totally different. And I guess officially they should act like they did in The Force Awakens, because that's JJ's creation.
Yeah.
That's the way JJ wrote them.
Like, even if you didn't do a linear thing with all 3, at least if you would have had like Ryan do 7 and JJ do 8, 9, so at least the last 2 or at least the first 2 would have had like a nice back to back. Like I said, like you had JJ and then Ryan took his way off base, which was fine, but then JJ brought it right back to where 7 was again, so it was just odd. So it's like if you either would have had them do all 3 or at least had JJ do 2 in a row and Ryan do the last one or something like that,
I think it
might
comes
have
down to the
worked out
writing,
better.
though, because like the original trilogy had 3 different directors, but George Lucas wrote all 3.
Yeah,
So
that would have
the
helped.
characters
big
were
time, too.
consistent throughout. It was just the portrayal on the screen that changed by each director's vision.
Yeah.
Whereas this was like, no, Ryan got to make up his own story. Like, whoa, okay, those people are being very different.
Yeah, I see. To me, it's just it's the style and like the vibe. Episodes 7 and 9, to me, kind of feel like you're playing in a toy box. Like I'll get you, Luke Skywalker. Ooh, no, you won't, Darth Vader. It's like
True.
And episode 8 is more like they want you to sit there and think and delve into why you're going into the toy box. It's like it's a very different type of a feel. Like the episode 8 to me is like the slowing down of Star Wars to really kind of get into why we're all here. And it's not, I mean, it's still a fun movie, but there's so many moments that are more emotionally driven or driven by dialogue. The Force dyad, introducing that, it's just them looking at each other talking. The whole stuff with Luke and Rey, doing the Jedi training, it wasn't like it was on Dagobah where they're lifting rocks and jumping around doing all this crazy stuff. It's more,
Dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very different. And
It is a smaller story overall, isn't it? It's like they're chasing the fleet for a little while, and there's a battle at the end, and that's pretty much it. There's not like this massive passage of time. It's not a big epic story. It's like, no, you get training on Octo. I've heard it pronounced both ways.
On Achu.
Yeah. So they're training on Gesundheit, and
No, Gesundheit are the actual race of the guardians or protect whatever
So
they're
those
called.
were the people
the
that
caretakers.
were, yeah,
the caretakers are not caretakers. They're Gesundheit. Welcome to Achu. These are the Gesundheit. They'll take care of you. So anyway, sorry.
and the fleet's running out of gas. That's pretty much it. That's the whole story.
Yeah.
Which gives a lot of breathing room for character moments and stuff. Yeah, I like that a lot better because Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker are both like much more frenetic, right?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that we all said about 9 was there's so much stuff in there. It would be nice if we could just breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, 9 could have really used like a 2-part thing, like Avengers style, probably. But at the same point, I know they were trying to honor George's wishes of being 9 movies and that, so they didn't want to technically make 10. But then at the other hand, a lot of people are going to say, well, they already crapped all over George's vision anyways, so why didn't she just go to 10? Like, it's all over the friggin' place. But yeah, there was so much going on in 9 that either needed the movie to be like 4 hours long or you needed to like split it into 2 parts. And I think that would have helped. Not that it was bad. I still love the movie, but I feel like it would have been better. Like every part of episode 9 seemed like if you would have made the scenes that much longer. Like, just to get that little bit more dialogue, a little extra detail in it would have been so much better.
See, the cool thing for me about episode 9, and well, I'll say the whole sequel trilogy now that we have it all, is that to me, when I've sat down and thought about it, it feels like it's only 2 movies. Like, it feels like 7 and 8 is this 5-hour thing, and then the Rise of Skywalker kind of sets on its own, because The Force Awakens is really what we already got. That's a Star Wars movie shit we already knew. And then episode 8, you know, time-wise happens immediately afterwards. So the elapsed time in the actual universe between 7 and 8 is, you know, what, a couple days or something like that, or a couple weeks, whatever the heck it is. So what you have is the reestablishment of Star Wars, and then the back half of this big long movie is kind of like, okay, but things have changed. And there's a greater understanding of the Force, of all these things that came before it. It's like, well, wait a minute. Now that we've had 7 movies, in this case, you know, it would be 6.5 movies if we're saying it's one movie. So follow me with this the mathematics here. But, you know, that you're saying, okay, you've got, you know, 6.5 movies. Well, here's where we're at now. The Force is different than what we thought it was. You know, after all these centuries and and all this time of, you know, the time of the Jedi during the prequels and all that, we've had time to look back at what the Jedi are really about, what the Force really means, you know, the influence of the Sith, and it's different than what we thought. And so episode 9 then is a new adventure with this new outlook on the Force and what is really going on. So I kind of think that's cool. That's how I see it anyways. To me, it's cool. And it's, again, that's just my opinion, but viewing it in that context really adds to my enjoyment of the sequel trilogy, because it makes it very different from the other 2 trilogies, but it also furthers the Star Wars lore while still being respectful of what came before it.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, it's weird how the sequel trilogy starts off in a super familiar place, and through 8 and 9, it gets weird, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's maybe we're just biased because the original trilogy feels so familiar, but as far as out there as that stuff was, being a, you know, space fantasy basically, I feel like 8 and then 9 really like pushed it like to the outer limits of weirdness, with like crazy Force powers, because now they're teleporting objects and stuff back and forth, and you've got, you know, Sith planets entirely and wayfinders and all kinds of crazy crap that like was the realm of comics and EU stuff before, and now it's official, like on the screen.
Yeah.
It feels very much like the EU is, for all the people that hate the fact that it was relegated to Legends, so much of that is just official now. I don't know why they would have a single reason to complain, because anybody who ever read those books and was like, man, it's so much cooler than the movies, I wish that was what the movies were like. Well, now they are.
Yeah. I mean, it really is.
I mean, yeah. What more do you want? You've got like the biggest fleet of Star Destroyers you've ever seen. You've got an entire Sith planet. You've got an undead emperor. You've got like all this stuff all in one movie. It was just a crazy place for everything to end up.
Yeah. And like I said, like having The Last Jedi in the middle makes you go back and re-look at what came before, and you kind of view it in a different light. You know, when Luke Skywalker's talking about, you know, the problem with the Jedi was hubris, you know, that's what ended them. And you kind of look back and you're like, yeah, they kind of were arrogant, and they kind of did do themselves in. And, you know, it was an awesome way, you know, it expanded on everything that came before it. It wasn't just a, you know, continuation of, well, the Jedi are the good guy and the Sith are the bad guys. Oh no, there's a new bad guy instead of Darth Vader. Oh, now there's a good guy and a bad guy. You're gonna have a lightsaber bat. Like, no, it was, you know, it adds a layer to, like, you know, I mean, I've been rewatching the prequels, and it's a little bit different now, because you're kind of looking at certain decisions that they make, and you're like, yeah, that probably wasn't the best thing to do, but they were so, you know, kiss my ass, I'm a Jedi, like I could kill anybody type of a thing, that it's, you know, it's really interesting to go back and view what came before through the prism of what was written in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. The that's the thing that I think was so well done in Last Jedi was they turned everything around, and it's amazing that actually having a character in the movie tell you why you should look at other films differently didn't seem like ham-fisted or like it didn't beat you over the head with it. It was folded into the story in a way that actually it made you draw conclusions of your own instead of just telling you this is exactly what you should see in these other movies. It was like, no, here's a character in the universe that views things differently than everyone else did.
Yeah.
And then you kind of like run with it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love it. And it's why like seeing like this kind of new movement of fans that previously didn't appreciate or didn't enjoy The Last Jedi, like all of a sudden they're kind of changing their tune. And granted, unfortunately, it's because they're like, oh, Rise of Skywalker sucks. Like, but it's, you know, it's causing them to look at this other movie that everyone said was just garbage and going, well, okay, actually, it's really not garbage.
Well, Rise of Skywalker did a good job of paying off enough of those ideas that it feels a little bit more coherent now.
Yeah.
You know, like the fact that Rey went immediately to the dark side, you know, and didn't shy away from it. Before 9 came out and the whole revelation of her lineage was there, I just thought, you know what, she's not afraid of the dark side because she doesn't have that bias baked into her like Luke did.
She's ignorant to it too.
Yeah.
Doesn't understand what going there a little bit could possibly lead to.
Right, exactly. But now, you know, you find out she's a Palpatine, you're like, oh, maybe that's why the dark side called to her so much. And also that Luke was aware of it means that's why he was so terrified of her doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing how, for as much as people want to say that it was like a retcon and they just completely steamrolled Last Jedi, that's not the case. There's a lot of those ideas they pulled forward. I mean, the whole teleportation, force communication thing, you know, that was teased with water, you know, in Kylo Ren's palm in Last Jedi.
Yeah.
People didn't really pay much mind to it. They're like, okay, whatever. And then, so the fact that they're actually like teleporting things back and forth through the Force to each other in 9, everyone's like, that's too far, man. Like, no, it already happened in 8. You just weren't paying attention.
I have to say that I don't like that concept at all. I didn't like it with the water in episode 8 because my mind was just instantly went to the, okay, what are they going to do next? Like, now, what are you going to send them an ad at? Like, oh man, you know, like you could force tell. It's like, to me, it was just like a beam me up Scotty type of thing.
Well, I liked the subtlety in 8 because a little bit of water, you're like, holy crap, their connection is so strong that there's, you know, a physical manifestation taken to it. Because, you know, it wasn't like the first time they talked, all of a sudden, you know, he's got rain in his hand.
He's pissing down her arm.
Right. Right. You know, so yeah,
this
every
is an
connection.
awkward time to force call me.
Can you do this some other time? No. Dumb and I can't stop once I started. Hurry.
But yeah, like every connection that they made in Last Jedi, like the connection got stronger with each scene that took place in. And the last one before the end of the Battle of Crate was the one in the rain. I think that was the last one before the Battle of Crate took place. Well, okay, then they were in the hut. Then they were in the hut and Luke blew up the hut.
Yeah, no, or stop or something. Yeah.
Well, even that then. What the hell was that? Because as for the audience, we saw Kylo Ren sitting in the hut. Is that what Luke saw? Did Luke actually see Kylo in the hut on the island?
That's interesting. I always thought it was just like kind of like a combination, like showing that Rey's vision was going away and then back to the real world type of thing. But I don't know.
I think he did, because at that point, didn't Rey mention that she knew that he had turned himself back onto the Force or something somewhere around then?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
She knew that she was like, when she was doing all the sensing and everything, she was like, well, I saw everything but you. And she knew that he turned himself off from the Force. But then she mentions later that she knew that he was connected again. So yeah, maybe he could see that.
And they touched hands, right?
Yeah.
The scene didn't cut away before they actually touched hands. So, so that was all there in 8. So if you don't like it in 9, sorry, Rian Johnson put that there.
Yeah, I know. And I was not the biggest fan of that. It was one of my minor complaints, but
even that though, I like the way Rian Johnson did it because he the characters themselves were like, what the hell is this? Like, we don't even know how this is happening.
Yeah. And you know, to your point of, you know, pulling things forward from episode 8, one of the things that I just, one of the, you know, commentaries that I just don't really understand is there's a lot of people saying that episode 9, you know, basically crapped on The Last Jedi and undid all of the stuff that Rian Johnson did. And I still don't see it that way. I mean, I think that they did undo a lot, but I think that they did it in a way that respects the original idea and actually plays along with it. I mean, for example, like, you know, Luke Skywalker, all of a sudden he's like hero Luke Skywalker again as a Force ghost. And it's like, okay. And people are like, oh, see, like fans got mad because, you know, he was a curmudgeonly jerk in episode 8. So they made him back to other Luke. Like, well, no, Yoda told him failure is the greatest teacher.
Yeah, that was his story arc in 8.
Yeah. And so he learned, he's like, yeah. And he even says in an episode, now I was wrong.
Did they not see the whole Force projection thing in 8 where Luke basically was not a curmudgeon and a turd anymore?
Yeah.
Like he could, he basically saw his error of his ways basically and did what he had to do to help save the Resistance and stuff.
Yeah. The only thing I think you could really say was a jerk thing to retcon the way they handled it was when Rey goes to chuck the lightsaber and Luke's ghost catches, he goes, a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect than this. It's like, okay, we get it. Like, you don't like how he just flipped the lightsaber in episode 8. But
again, that was where he started in episode 8. That's not where he ended up.
I know that, but I just don't like how they handled that, because if he just catches the lightsaber, that's cool. But to say a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect than this, it was a glaringly obvious.
I don't think so. To me, when I heard that, I thought more of it was Luke kind of being an ass towards himself for the way he was being a curmudgeon.
Right. I thought it was kind of a callback to him tossing it over his shoulder as the first meeting of Rey in the last movie.
I'm glad you guys see it that way, because I mean, I would love to see it that way. It just, that was the only time when they were undoing episode 8 stuff that I went, come on, dude, really? You couldn't have done that better? It just seemed like an FU. Like, you know, JJ giving the finger, like, don't let him chuck the lightsaber
and
away.
again, that goes back to what I was saying with, like, if you would have had the extra detail, like if you would have had a line from Rey that kind of would have tied that along, you know, to make that sound like he was, so you didn't think that it was just an FU to episode 8, that if something, a smirk on Luke's face or a comment from Rey to make you go, hey, you know, okay, I get what you're doing there, kind of thing, like that would have worked. But yeah, I could definitely see how you would have took it that way. It's just, I personally took it as Luke was making fun of himself for being such a jerk at the beginning of
that's
episode
awesome.
8.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like just flipping the script a little bit, right? Like kind of like the I love you, I know went from Leia to Han in Empire, and then it went from Han to Leia in Return of the Jedi. The same thing where, you know, it's kind of like I felt like Luke was acknowledging their first meeting on the island in the previous movie and purposely flipping the script, being like, oh, see, now you're the one tossing the lightsaber away and I'm the one that's like, what the hell?
Okay.
So
well, that's cool.
So yeah, I thought that was fine.
Yeah.
If you want a WTF, I thought the X-Wing just being pulled up out of the ocean, I'm like, it seemed pretty clear in 8. He put that down there to make sure it never came out.
Well, I mean,
and he was using it he used the wing for parts to make his door. So clearly that thing wasn't ever supposed to come out or fly again.
See, I don't see that either, because if he never wanted it to fly again, he could have just destroyed the damn thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought so too. He just,
and he ever did want to fly it again, he would have put it in the damn ocean. He would have just parked it on the island.
See, to me, I looked at that whole moment and went, okay, you remember how he could not get the thing out of the water and Yoda had to do it for him?
Yeah.
Now he finally...
he's powerful enough. That's what I thought too.
And like you see the look on his face too, and I even leaned over to Gwen at the premiere night and I'm like, hey, he finally got the damn thing out of the water.
He looked very proud of himself too.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
That hubris, the old Jedi hubris, is back.
Yeah, he was like, check me out.
Because he could have easily torched the damn thing like Rey was doing to the TIE fighter if he never wanted to fly it again. So I think it was literally it's getting stored here, and like to me, I think he obviously thought there was a chance he was going to need it again.
Yeah.
Or else why why just park it in the garage and let it rot? You know?
I don't think it was that I didn't see it as he might have needed it again. Because like AJ said, he wouldn't have parked it in the water. I think he just like, screw this, I'm not going to use this, I'm dumping it in the water, like kind of like a piece of trash. But so to me, it was he just figured there's never going to be another human that's going to find him, so he doesn't have to destroy the damn thing. It's in the water. Where's it going to go?
Because like he got to the island and he put it in the water. Like he could have easily force yeeted the thing out into the damn ocean somewhere and said, "Screw it, I don't need this anymore." But
he had to get a door.
He kept it around.
He had to keep it close to him for parts.
Yeah, what was he going to do? Is he keeps taking parts off of it for scrap money or something so he could build another rock hut on the damn island?
Well, those things are damn indestructible. That was down there for like 30 years.
The huts bring a boat around every couple of months, and he gives them a piece of the X-wing for scrap money.
1-800-GOT-JUNK on Achu.
Maybe it's 29 cents a pound this month.
X-wing parts are the copper wire of the galaxy.
That's the deleted scene of the Gesundheits is them pushing a shopping cart of aluminum cans.
What's the
the Gesundheits of Achu.
What's the asshole's name from episode 7 that Ray was bringing the pieces to?
Oh, Unkar Platt.
Yeah, he just comes around on a boat every couple of months or something and gives Luke a quarter portion for a piece of the fucking X-wing.
This laser cannon is worth 1/2.
One full portion.
Fine. 6 portions. He's force choking him. Right. I've already turned myself off from the force. I could do this evil crap.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I wondered. Like, I thought it'd be awesome is every time they show a picture of Rey flying in the X-Wing, you're because the seats are all waterlogged, so you're sloshing. Or she goes to put the helmet on, and it's like
musty.
Yeah, it's got like mold. She puts the helmet on, and it's like dumping a bucket of water on her head. And she sits there,
water like a goldfish slaps her in the face.
See, that could have been their prequel callback. She could have said, "I can't see a thing. My cockpit's foggy."
It's so good.
Or like when she's flying it away, the thing's like lazily like going to the left, like it's got a derpy wheel on a shopping cart because it's been sitting under the water for 30 years and it don't fly right now.
It acts like one of those skim speeders from episode 8.
It's like a derpy shopping cart. She's flying straight, and then all of a sudden it just goes. It just Parkinson shakes to the left a little bit.
Oh, God.
God damn, dude.
She's like, I can't fly this damn thing.
She's got to use the force to keep it on track, man. She's flying with
trying
one hand,
to fly it all close to the Falcon. It keeps bumping into it.
Lando's like, man, I just got this thing fixed. What the hell are you doing? Yeah, so
but I didn't have a problem with the lightsaber thing or lifting the X-Wing because I was just like, it was closing doors kind of thing to me. So I felt fine with all that, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, as we're talking about all this stuff and referring back to the previous 2 movies, have you guys watched either of the previous 2 since we've seen Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, both.
Yeah. Probably only like once each or so, but yeah, I've watched both of them since watching episode 9.
Any different impressions?
Not really.
No.
I still feel like 7 was kind of like what John said earlier. You know, 7 was bringing everybody back into the fold. 8 was its own story, which fit perfectly as a center portion of a movie, and 9 wrapped everything up. Like, it seems to just work. You know, you could pick the thing apart. And
like I said, does anything play differently now that you know where it's going in the story?
I enjoy The Force Awakens a little bit more.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Well, because it's like it makes sense when it has context.
Also, yeah, now that you know that Palpatine's behind everything, it makes sense that they're rehashing all the crap because he just wants to build Death Star guns. That's like all. That's his only idea,
right? Yeah. No, I mean, it explains. Like, I never had a problem with her learning the Force quickly because Luke Skywalker did that. So, anybody's, why'd you learn the Force so fast? Well, so did Luke Skywalker. What the hell are you talking about? So
and then when you go to read the stories and you find out that everything was basically learned through Kylo Ren anyways.
Yeah. So no, I mean, with
lazy though. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, having context really helps to explain. I don't need the movie explained. I shouldn't say explained, but my overall feel of the movie, like with it being such a rehash of episode 4 for me, like I said a few minutes ago, 7 and 8 feel like one movie to me. So it makes episode 9 makes episode 7 feel less of a rehash because it's just bringing the story. We're getting up to speed with the story, and where the story is at is what people have always thought the Force and the Jedi and everything is. But then the second half of the movie, that being episode 8, is like, no, it's changed and the perception is different and people have learned more. And, it's so, yeah, it makes me look at episode 7 a little differently. It makes me love The Last Jedi even more. I still, the things I didn't like about The Last Jedi, I hate space gas. The whole, we're running out of gas. I'm like, that's just, I hate that. I've always hated it. I thought that was terrible. It's like, it's one of those things that doesn't need explained. And some people say, well, it's like midichlorians. I'm like, dude, midichlorians, I have no problem with midichlorians. That was fine. That was kind of an interesting way to explain, instead it's just like poofy magic out of the air. It's like, no, you're actually manipulating something. It's so, okay. But space gas is like, well, where has this been forever? Like these dickheads are farting around the galaxy forever. Never had to stop off at Sunoco before. Now all of a sudden you got to go find a Circle K or else you're effed.
Right.
Yeah. Like
at no point did we ever see Han trying to siphon any gas out of another. Right. He's just got a hose going to the Falcon. He's sucking the
right. Yeah.
trying to pull the gas out. And
see, I'm like,
Chewie, stick it in the tank.
It's just like they could have done it with coaxium. Just say, fuel. I mean, I guess if they would have said, hey, we're running low on coaxium. Because they had been working on
they hadn't invented coaxium yet in the script.
That's what I'm wondering. Like Solo, like how far along were they in Solo? If could they have just put that into dialogue or something in The Last Jedi? Because then I would go on, because I have no problem with coaxium, because coaxium is an energy source, it can fuel a whole bunch of different stuff. So if you just say that these ships, they run on coaxium or whatever, we're low on coaxium. Okay.
Well, they could have just called it hyperfuel, because that was what coaxium was also called.
Yeah. And
so really, if you're already okay with hyperfuel, is fuel really such a bad thing? It's not as bad as like Star Trek Discovery, where they just invented time crystals. That was a whole plot device of season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, was time crystals. Now we got time travel. Why? Time crystals. There's even a line that says, well, everything sounds cooler when you put time in front of it.
Ugh. Who? Anyway, yeah, I won't go there because that's dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just still lingering from when they're like, oh, we're running out of fuel. I'm like, what the hell is that? So it's probably just still lingering for me. So I think as time goes on, I'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna in my mind go, it's friggin' hyperfuel, it's coaxium. Like,
well, it did seem very anticlimactic. If you want to look at 7 and 8 as one giant movie, the fact that 7, there's no mention of having any problems with their fuel supply, but then 8 picks up right after, like, shit, we're on empty.
And Liquid Schwartz. I told you put more than $5 worth.
Right, exactly. Like I still can't get past that. I really can't.
Yeah, but no, I mean that.
Yet the old girl still had enough juice in her tank to go to hyperspace and destroy that ship, though.
Yeah, right. I
don't got enough fuel to do anything else, but man, we could whip this thing around in a U-turn and bust it through Snoke's ship real quick, though.
Right. Yeah, I mean, just little things are still, like the whole they can track from the lead ship or whatever. So once we disable the lead, I don't understand, like, because it seems to me like they kind of said that the other ships have those systems too, so anybody could be a lead ship. I'm like, well, then if you just disable the one, then one of the other a-holes can take over. It's still a little confusing the way they explain certain things.
Yeah.
But I still.
What's the critical term for that? A hand wavy.
Yeah. Yeah. For all those of you watching on video, we don't have video. No, but I mean, I still feel the same way. Episode 9 did exactly what I was hoping it would do for a lot of other people. It enhanced my enjoyment of the 2 movies before it. And episode 8 didn't need that for me. I love it.
Yeah.
But episode 7, it's still my least favorite, but I have more appreciation for it and it's more enjoyable to watch. So
Not that we need to get into it now because we've been podcasting long enough, but
Over 4 years.
Great, we hit our quota.
exactly. But the leaks that came out from the apparent Trevorrow version of it.
Oh man, yeah. I guess we'll have to put a pin in this because I was just going to go there.
I was
Yeah.
saying, like the leaks that I've read, I'm very happy that we got the movie we did, as opposed to some of the stuff I heard coming.
I feel the opposite.
Some good, some
Really?
bad, but there was some stuff that came out of that I hope to God are not true because they are awful.
Yeah, I thought so too. I was really surprised because there was like a brief, like a synopsis leak.
Like I said, some
And
good,
then-
some good, some bad, but there was some real bad stuff that came out.
You guys
Yeah.
want to save that for another show? 'Cause
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we'll
what
do
I'm
that.
saying.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's definitely like at least a half or a full show we could get wrapped
Yeah.
up into that.
Well, like I said, in a nutshell, there was a brief synopsis one that was released. I'm like, okay, it's cool. But then Star Wars Newsnet had like a very long, full breakdown because I guess there was like a script that was found or something like that, and a lot of it, and people were like, "Oh, this would have been the best movie ever, so much better than what we got." I'm like, a lot of this is dog shit, and it was really dark. Did you notice that? People dying and people crying blood. I'm like,
Oh, I didn't
this
read all
is-
the details.
Oh, I did. It's
Yeah,
dark.
I
It's
read-
really dark.
I didn't see all that. I saw like the bullet point kind of
No,
one.
go to Star Wars Newsnet and
To me,
there's a full big
initially-
long thing. And believe me, it's like there's no way they could have made that movie,
Right.
Because people would, you'd leave the theater wanting to slit your wrist, and kids couldn't watch this thing. I mean, it's literally there's people dying everywhere, and like bloody this and bloody that. Like, I mean, it's like it would be like a rated R Star Wars movie.
Well, now with all those details thrown in, I question the veracity of the whole thing.
From the bullet
they've
points
never been wrong before.
From the bullet points I read about it, it really sounds like it was somebody's fanfic that they wrote, and they just, you know how the internet
Yeah, I mean,
works.
for Christ's sakes, it was called Duel of the Fates.
You claim
That in
that
itself is
Trevorrow
stupid.
wrote it. You get 2 or 3 other people to verify. Like, I saw it on I saw it on some big named website. I can't remember what right now, but they were like, "Oh well, if you don't believe we got this independently verified from this other website," and I clicked on the link, and the website that they said they got this verified from had 27 shares on their website, and I'm like, it was a Collider. Collider was using some website, said we got it verified from this place. They had 27 shares on it. And I'm like, you guys got a verification of this Trevorrow thing from a website that has less traffic than our podcast
I
does.
was gonna say, or our website even.
I'm like, so you're telling me that our podcast has enough influence that we could fuck the Star Wars universe, apparently. And it gave me hope.
Did it give you a new hope? Yeah,
And it gave me a health class boner.
Look, man, I'm telling you, that's a real thing. I don't know how you guys have never heard that.
But dude, I guess it was for you.
But
No, it's that's like an age-old story.
Yeah,
Like,
I saw the thing on Collider, and they're like, well, if you don't believe us, we got it verified here. And I'm like, well, let me click this link. I'm like, 27 shares? I'm like, this is your verification?
So two assholes think the same thing. That
Yeah.
means it must be true.
So it's like,
I
so
just-
what you're telling me is whoever wrote this for Collider kept clicking on websites and finding nothing, and then they finally found one that verified his own idea and went, well, here we go. And wrote it up.
Hey, that's the rule. That's the first rule of journalism: is find a second source.
Yep.
Yeah, so-
or a third or fourth or 27th or whatever.
Yeah.
Just publish another website and put your own crap on there. There's your second source.
well,
So yeah, we can officially influence Star Wars now.
Let's do it.
We got it.
All right, so we'll talk some episode 9, Duel of the Fates, on the next episode, huh?
Yeah,
So
that's-
we'll get back to you guys after we write season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Because we're going to influence it.
exactly. Which means,
Baby Jabba.
and I'll leave, no, I'm gonna leave it at this. The mysterious bounty hunter, the guy with the boots. When we write it, AJ, high five. It's gonna be Cad Bane.
I was gonna say Jar Jar.
No, shut up. Damn it. I was trying to be serious and bring up something cool. You tools. All right.
I also want to say a quick fond farewell to Star Wars Resistance, since that wraps on the day this drops.
The last episode already?
Yeah, 1 hour finale. I won't miss you. I didn't even know you were a thing.
Yeah.
There's my eulogy.
I had no idea that it was ending so soon. Like, I thought they have more episodes coming, but
I'd
considering you can't watch the damn thing on Disney Plus.
I'd pour one out for Resistance, but this bottle next to me on the floor has been empty for about 6 months. So
is your level of caring for the show.
Yeah.
We're trying to be positive and not be like the negative Twitter a-holes, and we're basically like, F you, Resistance.
It's pretty obvious that even Disney didn't care about that show. They only gave it 2 seasons, and the only 2 movie characters that showed up that were voiced by the original actors were Poe in like 2 episodes and Phasma in, I think, 2 episodes.
Remember I was supposed
Hux was a new voice. Leia was a new voice, and Kylo Ren, new voice.
It's amazing because it was touted as some big deal that Oscar Isaac was Poe and Gwendolyn Christie was, but it was.
In the meantime, I went back. I've been binging on Rebels, which some is worse than I remember and some is better than I remember. But
so basically, your overall opinion of the show is the same.
They got James Earl Jones for Vader.
Yeah.
They got Frank Oz for Yoda.
I wonder if with Resistance if it didn't get traction like they wanted because it was too kiddie-ish. I really wonder if I wonder if it was planned that way or if people just didn't respond to it, because a lot of people maybe have my opinion, which was like, dude, this is too much. It's a little too. Hey 6-year-olds, watch our Star Wars show. It's like, I was like,
let's make a TV show geared towards 7-year-olds and put it on at 9:00 on Sunday nights where they're never going to watch it.
Yeah.
And looking at the preview of the finale, nothing happens. It wasn't like Clone Wars where it started off like, why do I care? And then ended with, holy crap, this is the most relevant, interesting thing Star Wars has ever put out.
Or like The Mandalorian, where like the last thing he pulls out the Darksaber of Mandalore and you're like, oh! Spoiler, by the way.
Hell, even too late. Even Rebels, man. 4 seasons in, at least like that had some major connective shit at the end there.
Yeah.
Not this.
No. Well,
Nope.
That dummy kid, whatever his name is, probably just going to drop another motor in the water or something at the end of the episode.
He's just off on his
it just
Three Stooges-esque shenanigans.
Yeah, it ends the same way as the first episode ends. He just drops a motor off the side of the ship.
Right.
And everybody goes, oh, that dumbass is up to it again.
There he goes. Well, on that note, we will close up shop. Thanks for checking out another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. Remember, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. You can get your customized Nerf Herder Council gear at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. You can find us where you can find pretty much any podcast. Places like Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Spotify, all that kind of stuff. We are at nerfherdercouncil.com if you want to check us out on the web. All of our episodes are there. All of our episodes are also available on YouTube. Just look up the Nerf Herder Council. Our Facebook page is up, so if you want to hit us up there, you can email us directly, nerfherdercouncil@gmail.com, and you can hit us up mostly on Twitter, which is where we're at. I'm, spending, a few hours a day there getting triggered. It's at NHC Podcast. So
today was too nice of a day. I feel like I need to go on Twitter.
Yeah.
I haven't felt like slitting my wrist for 30 minutes. I need to scroll my Twitter timeline.
It's not my fault. The stuff that people retweet gets me, and I'm like, damn it, don't retweet that. But anyway. So until next time, I'm your host, JT, at Dog Pound Jedi. He's AJ.
At Drake Adams 579.
He's Steve.
At JSteve1005.
And we will catch you next time.
This bucket of bolts is never gonna get us past that blockade.
This bucket's got a few surprises left in her. Plus, me and Chewie are on it. Ain't that right, Chewie?
Hell yeah, you my Nerf herder.
You my Nerf herder.